Okay, so um, a lot of people probably know. For some reason, I just truly do not want to do this. I don't. I have so much fucking anxiety right now. I feel sick to my stomach. Just even listening to the voice, like the years of ongoing abuse and the people that like you don't. It's so PTSD related. Just even the voice. Just anyways. So a lot of people probably know this if you've ever gotten audio records before, but I haven't. This is a new experience for me. And so there's like several files here. It took us, first of all, if you're like me and you're like 42 and you bought CDs, you assumed. I assumed my audio record was going to come on like a CD, like when you buy a CD from the store. And I used to put those in the DVD player and you could just hear the audio. And it doesn't. You have to download a program called For the Record. And then my mom, as you can see, there's like all these files here. She was like, what in the world is this? When we finally got it open. And mine is just this case here, I'm assuming. But apparently you get the whole public file of the whole day. Probably everything the judge did that day is, I'm guessing, how they download this. And so my mom was like, oh my gosh, you have other people's things. That's not okay. Oh, it scared my mom. She didn't like it. And I was like, well, Mom, technically, though, because we were playing this one and we could hear the case, the one before. It's like, Mom, I was sitting in the courtroom. I heard it all. I remember thinking, like, to myself, that judge must be so annoyed right now. Just the things that were going back and forth. And then, of course, I left after my case. I didn't stay and listen to any of the other hearings, and I have no intention to ever probably listen to them or share them. It's none of my business. But so if someone else got my file, though, to be honest, and they shared it in the public, all they're doing is sharing what I've been saying. I've been saying this happened. This is what happened. So it wouldn't bother me, technically. Not me. Like, I get, like, if I knew somebody in here and they wanted a file, I'm like, I don't want to pay the $13. I would, sure, but it would only be because it would be their file that I would give it to them. Otherwise, none of your business. I don't have time for that, Don't bother me. But, so for my mom was freaked out by it. I don't know that I am. I guess maybe I can get it. But, oh, do we have to do this? Oh, my God. You can hear my parents' TV in the background. This is as quiet as it's going to get.
Judge, I talked with counsel and Dr. Roth, and we thought it might be better to let him jump off the stand and
Okay, this is not my case.
The records and call an alternative witness, so we're not wasting the court's time and we make use of our time.
Okay.
So if there's no objection from counsel, what we'll do is we'll recess Dr. Roth's testimony, let him take with him the records, go out to the conference room and review them. Continue his review of them, and then I'll call Dr. Randy Olander. No objection, Your Honor.
Okay. So you have about 5 minutes for your next witness before we start in with.
Okay. I was led to believe we might have until about 11:15.
Well, we'll see what the parties get here in time. We'll call the case and find out.
Stop right there, raise your right hand. You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give this court is the truth and will truth and nothing but the truth.
I do.
You get to your end.
Okay, I'm going to pause it here until it gets to my case. And then start
When you get
recording.
situated, just
How long that other case takes and see if we can get some more testimony done before lunch.
Okay.
All right? So if you can step down.
is fine.
So at 11 o'clock, I have a case I'm going to call before I get the file open. And that is Shane Hamilton versus Nancy Hamilton, 13EO 0014DS. Is Shane Hamilton here? Come on up, have a seat. And Ms. Shane Hamilton, if you'd step on up.
Please stand and raise your right hand. Solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give this court is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
So, Mr. Hamilton, you are the moving party here, moving to modify the parenting time provisions of the judgment that was entered in this case. In my understanding, my observation of this, I reviewed the general judgment of divorce that includes the parenting time, and is that one of the children, the oldest child, is now turning 18 sometime next week. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Isaac, young Mr. Isaac Hamilton. So it's Asia Hamilton, who would now be 14 years of old or thereabouts, 13 or 14?
14.
14. And so you wish, you're not going to get the judgment done to modify parenting time as to the oldest child before he turns 18. So we're not dealing with that today. We're only dealing with Asia. Is that right?
Yes.
Is that your understanding, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay, so did you swear then? Okay, so, sorry. So, Mr. Hamilton, you're the moving party. It's your obligation to go forward here and tell me why the parenting time should be changed.
At this time, I'd like to just get it kind of set in stone to where there's no arguments between two parents when the child's with one parent or with the other parent. In the beginning, I did want to change my home to the primary home, but my daughter's doing very well in school right now, and where I live would be too much for me to get her to school every day. So at this time, I just want to get things more set in stone.
So what kind of parenting time are you thinking you should have?
I think that both parents should, at this time, have the child 50% of the time. One parent has the child, the other parent has the child the other half the time.
Okay.
And that's...
And so what is the current situation as you
Currently, we've been doing that. She's been with me on the weekends, with her mom during the week. And
so you have a child every weekend?
I've had her, yes. Not in the very beginning of our divorce. I'd have her not every weekend, but for the last probably 2 years, 2.5 years, I've been taking her on the weekends, yes.
Every weekend?
Every weekend, unless she makes plans to go to a friend's house or have a friend over at her mom's house. Which I am okay with that too, because mom needs weekend time too here and there.
And so what's the change of circumstances?
More or less at this time, more or less just to have it set in stone to where I have her on the weekends. She's with her mom during the week. Mom, that way, there's no, she's not come to your house this weekend. I want it to be more just set in stone by the law, saying nobody can argue who's going to have her when and how.
So under the general judgment of divorce, what's your understanding of the separation or when you have parenting time?
We never really had a set parenting time. I just understood in the divorce that 50-50 custody was both of us have her that equal amount of time.
general judgment says there's joint custody, then you don't have a parenting plan. You didn't agree to a parenting plan. There isn't a parenting plan attached to the judgment, and you have joint custody. And that doesn't say any parenting plan. So you think you ought to have what?
A parenting plan where we have 50-50 time with her.
And what 50% of the time do you think you should have?
I believe because she's going to school during the week, I should have her. She goes to school 4 days a week. I should have her Thursday through Sunday.
Every weekend.
Every weekend, unless her mom has plans to take her somewhere, do something with her. I have no arguments with that at all.
And so what if mom makes plans every weekend to do with something with the child?
Well, she's not irrational like that, so I know she wouldn't.
And what about holidays?
Holidays, I wrote down in there that I would do odds and even years. So I'd have her every other Christmas, every other New Year's.
Okay, and what about summertime parenting time?
Summertime parenting plan, but last summer it worked out well. We did every other week. I had her for a week. She'd go to her mom's for a week.
And so you're making the yourself being the primary caregiver.
At the beginning of this, I was, but at this time she's doing well with her school out in Elkton. They live in Drain, so it would be easier for. I don't want to switch her schools right now. She's doing so well with schooling that I'd like to just keep her where she's at, and get her schooling back up and going.
So presently, what kind of parenting time are you giving?
Getting right now,
Yes.
I'm taking her on Thursdays usually after work, and then bringing her home Sunday or early Monday morning on my way to work.
Every weekend?
Every weekend.
And how long has that been happening?
About 2.5 years.
Anything else you want me to know?
At this time, no.
Any questions you have for him?
I don't agree with anything that he said.
So you want to testify you don't have any questions?
I do have questions regarding him claiming that he has her every weekend because he did not. And he did not for the first 2
Okay,
years.
well, it sounds like you want to testify rather than ask him questions. So,
Okay.
sir, do you have any additional witnesses you intend to call? So, Mom, you can testify now. You're under oath. And you are the mother of this child?
Yes.
And the child is 14 years of age?
She's 13 right now, but she'll
13.
be 14.
Okay. And when will she turn 14?
March 10th.
So, next week as well. Is that right?
Yeah, very soon.
And what parenting time does he get now, to your understanding?
So we've been divorced for 4 years, and for the first 2 years, there was very, very little contact, and she cried, and we had a lot of behavioral issues with her.
Okay, what in the last 2 years?
And in the last 2 years, she did homeschool for a year. Not this year, but the year before. If that makes sense. And so he, at that time, started requesting that she go there due to the fact that he needed some help watching his child, and it kind of really messed up her homeschooling that we had going. It caused a lot.
So what about this last year?
So this last year, she's in Elkton Charter School, and she's doing well. And he picks her up not every weekend. It's probably every other weekend, but sometimes. This last month, he's had her, I think, the last 3 weekends in a row, I believe. And so it's been really hard for me to have any plans made with her on my own. and there's a lot of behavioral issues with the child because there is no set plan. So, it's just kind of been an issue as far as when he's had her. And
So what plan do you think he should get for his parenting time?
I would like to see a standard 80,
What's a standard?
80-20, like every other weekend type thing, because she's in school 4 days a week, but sometimes her school is on the Friday instead of the Monday. It can be really different. And she's been with me, I would say, in the last 4 years, 80% of the time she's been with me. At least, if not more.
What about holidays?
I'm fine with every other holidays.
You mean odd even year
Yeah.
as he described?
Yeah. The summer, I was thinking maybe 1 month on, 1 month off just because of traveling expenses.
So where do you live?
I'm trained
Where does he live?
in
Roseburg.
And so your suggestion, 1 month on, month off?
Well, for vacation purposes, I thought it might be easier for him and travel expenses, but I'm not, it doesn't have to be that way.
And sir, what are you suggesting for parenting time during the summer?
Week on, week off. Travel and expenses aren't a big issue to me because I do
And
work.
so, no extended parenting time during the summer other than week on, week off.
Week on, week off, yes.
Do you mean Sunday through Sunday type week on, week off? Or?
Anything else you want to know, ma'am?
We've had a history with Shane, with communication with him and I. We don't communicate, and when I took the parenting class that's required to come here, it asks that the parents do the communicating rather than communicate through the children because it causes frustration for the children, which I agree that my daughter is feeling frustration from having to be the contact for us. So I would like for him to not use our daughter for a contact, as well as my son. I don't want my daughter being used for contacts. I'm sure the plan being said will help, though.
Anything else, ma'am?
No.
Anything else, sir?
No, sir.
So, the ruling is this, ma'am, you're going to be required to prepare the judgment for a modification. And I'm going to modify it so that it isn't joint custody. If parties don't agree for joint custody, and it doesn't sound like joint custody is working in this case, mother's going to have sole custody of the child. And that is Asia in this case. The primary caregiver will be the mother, and I'm going to go through ma'am, you're going to need to take some notes.
Sorry.
Can I leave, sir?
What?
Can I leave? I don't agree with it. I'm gonna refile because it's just that's crazy.
Sir, I'm making a decision here. If you're not interested in hearing the decision, that's your choice, I guess.
How do
But it is the judgment of the court. In order to make a change from this point on.
So
you're
if
gonna have
mother
to
doesn't
change it.
even have her own house, she gets sole custody. When I have a house with a bedroom for that child.
You are going to have parenting time. That doesn't mean that you don't have parenting time. It means that mother is the sole custodian of the child. And so you're going to have parenting time. And I'm going to make my ruling here. If you're not interested in listening to it, it doesn't change the decision. And in order for you to, again, move for modification, there has to be a change of circumstances. And a change of circumstances more than, well, I want to file a new motion. So you want to listen. So, mother, the parenting plan will be this. You're the primary caregiver. And he is in terms of the parenting plan, you're parent A, he's parent B. And the plan will be every other weekend, starting this coming weekend, he will have parenting time from the time she gets out of school until she returns to school. And he's to pick the child up from school and take it at the end of that school day and return the child to school at the beginning of the school the next week. And if that means that parenting time, that school ends on Thursday, his parenting time begins on Thursday. If the school begins on Monday, his parenting time ends at the beginning of school that Monday. If it begins on Tuesday, his parenting time ends on that Tuesday. And it's every other weekend. Summer parenting time will be every other weekend. Exchange time will be 5 p.m. each Sunday. And that begins when the child gets out of school. He'll start with the first full week after the child gets out of school. So first Sunday after she's out of school, his parenting time, and it rotates like that through the summer. The holiday schedule will be set forth as is found in his holiday detail plan, as set forth here, alternating between the parents' odd and even years. Just a moment, I want to look at parenting time. And the children are of school age, so it is the third block, and the split is the 26th of December until child goes back to school. Parents must agree to any temporary changes in writing. Parents, that is, he's to provide the transportation, picking the child up from school, dropping the child off back at school at the end of his parenting time. Communication between the parents is to be writing, either email, text, or in writing, not to use children as a means of communication. And no profanity either way. Neither child shall move more than 60 miles further away from the other without 30 days written notice and filing with the court. Children's activity coordinate with the other parent. Not going to make the other parent substitute care, alternate care if the parent is unable to care for the children. I don't want to have the child bounce back and forth because of the distance. All right.